This gap will make or break you. Hey, it's Gary, and today I'm going to talk about a gap that you're going to have anytime you want to get to the next level. And if you don't understand the concept of the gap, if you're not careful, you'll cave in. So, especially if you're a business person, entrepreneur, you'll appreciate this. Earlier on our YouTube channel, I had put a video out about Pareto's principle. That's where 80% of the results that we get are often coming from 20% of the efforts we put in. So if that's the case, so let's look at that. So we've got 20% of the effort we put in creates 80% of the results, which means we have another 80% of time or of action steps that really are either irrelevant or limiting in getting more results. So if we could take that 20% effort that gets us 80% result, now do 40% of the effort and we would double the result. So we're still doing half the amount of time and now we're doubling the results. That's huge. So how do we get there? How do you get to the point where you double, triple your income or your company's revenue with less time or less effort? Well, first of all, we have to identify what's the 80% that we're just like wasting time with. So I'll give you an example. And a lot of times to make some of these changes, it may be a total shift in a company's business. It could be a total shift in selling different products and not selling certain products that maybe you've been selling for years. Let's say you have product A and you have product B, and product A sells for $100, product B sells for $5,000. And you get a lot of customers buying the product A, $100. But you don't get as many of these, but the problem is that we spend a lot of time, that 80% time, we spend a lot of time getting the $100 results, and the quality of customers perhaps are not as good. There's more legwork or more time being spent taking care of this $100 sale. But only 20% of the time that we put in makes this sale. So what I would encourage our company to do, depending on what their mission is and their products and so forth, what if we just decided to cut this product out because we're eating up so much time, and then focus all of the time on a product like this? Now there's going to be a gap. Here's the gap. The gap is, wait a minute, even though, let's say, you sell 10,000 of these and you're bringing in $10,000, $100,000, $50,000 worth of sales, and you go, wait a minute, we're still bringing in, I'll just make a number up, we're still bringing in $50,000 a month on product A. But look at this. Let's say we're only doing 2 of these a month, so we're only doing 10,000 here. Here's where the gap's going to be. If we're going to decide to no longer carry product A because we're using so much time and energy, let's say just overnight, I'm not saying that I would encourage you to do that or suggest that unless I know more about a company to make this decision. But let's say that we decided immediately we're going to stop selling this product. Boom. So that means immediately we have lost $50,000. The gap is now, oh my gosh, we're going from $50,000 a month to now we're only selling 2 of these, so we're only going to make $10,000 this month. That's $40,000 less that we're going to make this month. See the gap? So now the gap comes in where there's a psychological challenge. Maybe you have a sales team. You have to encourage your sales team. Hang on. It's going to happen. We're going to focus our energies here. But that psychological gap and the financial gap can be really, really challenging, incredibly challenging, especially if it involves changing a career for a person or in a company changing a massive difference in a company's product. We're not going to sell this product anymore. People are going to call and ask for it. And you're going to turn down the sale. Whoa, that's a lot of challenges for some people to handle. Wait a minute, we're going to turn down money? We're going to turn down customers? Yes, we are. That is the change and the gap that you're going to have to make. So what are some of the new thoughts that you're going to have to buy into? How are you going to train a team to deal with this? And financially, there may be a drop in their income. But listen to this. Watch this. Think about the effort that it takes to get these $100 sales. But now we only make 2 sales to make that. So now we would make, what, 10 let's see, 10 sales would make, yeah, so if we make just 10 sales, that's it, 10 sales, we would make the equivalent of what we made over here, only 10 sales. Technically less effort. Now, once we start getting into the process and the systems of creating those sales, that'll go to 15, that'll go to 20, and so on. I'll give you an example how I did this in my life, and it was really, really one of the most difficult things. I'll never forget it. When I was 15 years old, I was in the jewelry business. And when I was in the jewelry business, I was doing very well. As a teenager, at 17 years old, I started at 15. As a teenager, I was doing six figures. And this was decades ago. That would be equivalent to probably, I don't know, $3 to $5 million today. But I made a decision. I'll never forget this. Now, keep in mind, in the jewelry business, from November 27th onward till about January, I don't know, say January the 10th, as a jeweler, your life is ruined. It's financially good, but after Thanksgiving till about the first week or so in January, you have no life. It's 24/7 because Christmas and everybody's getting gifts and presents and so forth. And I had lived my life for 13 years. I remember you can plan nothing after Thanksgiving till January. Every single day I'd put in, I'm not exaggerating, 60, 80 hours a week, every single week, all day long, no brainer. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to make a change. I'm going to get into the consulting and speaking business. So I'll never forget the following year, November 28th, it was like, wait a minute, I'm not working 80 hours a week. This is crazy. That was a big adjustment. The real big adjustment was I wasn't making as much money yet because I was still learning and new in the business of speaking and consulting. So I had a massive gap. And I'm also, here's another gap for me. I was used to, this is quite interesting, and I share this with you because every time you try to make this change where you're putting in and identifying what that true 20% is that's getting the 80% results, and then you're going to get rid of the other stuff that's not working, there's always going to be some type of a belief system that you're going to have to adjust or change. Always. So in my mind, you know, in the jewelry business, I would fix a gold chain, let's say. So I fix a gold chain, we'd make, I don't know, I'll make a number up. We make $20. So I always thought in this way. For example, if I'm going to spend $100 on a present or I'm going to spend $100 on a meal, in my mind, that's 20 gold chains I have to fix. So I was constantly trading work for dollars, right? Time for dollars, a task for dollars, a task for dollars. Now, in the speaking industry, you're not typically hired every single day. It doesn't work that way. So I had to go from seeing sales in the jewelry business every single day, which is fun, it's exciting, and it gives you hope, it gives you belief, to all of a sudden, no sales. And I'll remember the first year that I decided to quit the jewelry business, people would call me up to have their jewelry fixed and have their jewelry designed. And I had to say no. It was so difficult because I needed the money. I wanted the money. I would only take a couple high-end sales like maybe diamonds or something like that. But that gap for me, and from going from the jewelry business to the speaking industry, that was a huge gap. That gap was probably a painful 6 months to a year gap. So understand that you're going to have to figure out how long is that gap going to be. You may not know exactly. A lot of it's going to depend on, you know, the product, the services, your skills, how much time you have to put in to make this change. So if you have to make a change right now, let's say you knew that there's a part of your business that's creating, it could be a decent amount of sales, it could be a majority of your sales, but you have a higher end priced item that would bring you more results in the long run with a lot less headache and a lot less effort. Figure out what those things might be. And also, by the way, you use this principle, I use this principle at home in my time, everything that I do. That's why I love processes and systems when I work with companies. That's one of the first things I look at. What are your processes and systems that's pissing away 80% of your time and getting very, very little results for that time that you're putting in? So once you figure that out, figure out all the different things that you have to make changes where you're going to have a gap, then try to identify what the gap is going to be. What are the thought process that would slow you from making that fill of that gap? So, for example, as we talked about earlier, we went from a $100 sale to a $5,000 product that we had, and we only sold 2 of these a month, and over here we're doing $50,000 worth of sales. So what would be some of the gap mentally if you decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to quit selling this. All right, so the gap would be, well, how are we going to get more people? That would be one, right? That's not a good question. It's, let's go figure out how we're going to find more people. But these are the type of the things. Do we think we have the worthy, are we worthy of, you know, selling more of these products? We only sell once, you know, in a while. We only sell 2 a month. I want you to identify all the limited beliefs or all the stories that you're going to be telling yourself that would slow you down from making this change to this change. That's going to be where your problem is, because what happens is because you get consistent sales over here and inconsistent sales over here temporarily. You're going to have a lot of brain stuff going on in your head. You're going to have a lot of limited thought process. You're going to question yourself. Is this the right decision to make? And challenge financially can be huge. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to share this with you. And when you learn to identify what the gap is going to be in ahead of the changes that you're going to make and learn to deal with them, if you have a team, you've got to coach them on doing that, because it often reflects in a lack of a paycheck or a lower paycheck until they can work toward filling this gap. That's why a lot of people are not successful. They want instant gratification, and they can't see the future of getting 20 of these a month now and 30 of these a month now. And boy, let me tell you what though, when that happens, it's a game changer. I remember on one particular thing that I was working on, and we still do it now, the gap was huge. It's a big gap, you know, tens of thousands of dollars. And I remember in 1 week, boom, we did $100,000 just in 1 week, just like that. It was amazing. So when you learn to figure out what the gap is and you start identifying how to manage yourself mentally and also financially, you will make a massive change. And let me tell you what, when you get to this level, the game changes in your life. You will make so much more, a lot less headache, and then you know what's going to happen? A year from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, you're going to say, wait a minute, now, check this out. You're going to take this over here. We're going to go, we're doing $100,000 a month over here, but we have a $50,000 product over here that we're only selling 2 of these. Why don't we quit doing this one? You see it, right? And now let's go ahead and sell 10 of these and make just 10 of these and make $500,000, right? Same thing, exact same thing. So you'll always have this to do, but when you do this and you take the next level and the next level, it's really exciting and challenging. The gap is not so challenging, not so exciting because it is so challenging, but when you get to that next level and you fill it in, game changer for you. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. I'd love to see your comments. If you don't mind subscribing to our video, I'd love to continue to share more knowledge and information with you, and hopefully it'll continue to grow your business. Between now and the next time we get to chat, you know what to do. Don't let anything or anyone rent space in your head. Have an awesome day. We'll see you again.